Start the show. 7 New Year resolutions homeowners in Fife can actually stick to. Morning, Andrea. I tell you what, I'm really hungover.
With
I
what?
should never, I should never have stayed up past midnight last night. And I should never have gone to Edinburgh. And I spent an absolute fortune. Midnight shopping at Tesco's is a nightmare.
Well, if
Honestly,
that's the only
it's
sort of
like
hangover you've got, that's fine.
we only went in for a loaf of bread and £100 later. It's like,
Oh, God.
what did you do, Jim? That shop, it's like it's got so much stuff, and it's like that's why I almost never made it to the show this morning. Literally, I almost slept in because I'd gone midnight shopping at Tesco's. If you're midnight shopping at Tesco's, I would advise don't do it. It is absolutely lethal, and you pay for it big time the next day. I just like I'm honestly, I feel like I've done a round with Mike Tyson. Oh, because I went out and I stayed off. I stayed up after my bedtime.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And once we've gone through all these 7 points, you'll probably realise that half the stuff that you bought in Tesco you actually didn't need.
Actually, didn't need. And that's what this is a great start for anybody. It's looking for New Year's resolutions that homeowners can actually stick to. I mean, it really is that time of year. And I've done it myself. I sat and thought, and Ben came down the stairs to me. Ben's my son. He came down the stairs and said, "Dad, you want to join a gym next year?" And I thought, why? And I'm a like, if somebody tells me something, I went, no, I'm not going to do that because that's what everybody else does at this time of year. And it's typical, isn't it? It's typical. We all focus on the new year and we get into this pattern of behaviour about, I've got to get this beach bod. I've got to sort myself out. I've maybe got to drink less. I've maybe got to drink more for some people. I've got, all these different things you've got to do less or more of. You now focus at this time of year.
I've still got my beach body. It's just on the inside.
I've got to shape it and mold it and get it back out. But why do you think that is? Why do you think people at this time of year, it's always just like New Year's resolutions? Do you think it's a normal human behaviour? Do you think it's hardwired into us, or do you think it's a cultural thing? What's your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of it can be peer pressure as well, and the media
Mm.
making us think that we need to be doing these things to be happy, to be prosperous, to be healthy.
Of course. Television programmes, they all start to come on about getting yourself sorted for New Year.
Yep.
I never even thought about it like that. All the media designs all their programming and scheduling around the new year, and it is mainly focused on what you're going to do, what you're going to set, how you're going to set goals, but in a softer way. It gradually floats in and tells us, just like what we're doing today.
It's surprising because they've had all the food programs on as well, especially in daytime TV, which I'm sure you don't watch, but all the amount of food that they put out on plates and the calories in it, and then once that's all done, have you ever seen how many fat chefs there are? And then in the new year, they've got all the programs telling you how to lose the weight that you've just put on over Christmas. And then it'll all come round because we've got all the Easter eggs coming out. And then they'll tell you to get slim for summer.
Geez.
And then you have to fatten up again for winter time to keep yourselves warm.
Because we're going to run out of food. Because we're going to run out of food in winter, aren't we? See that one day it's closed for Christmas Day? That's it, chaos. You're absolutely right. It's a cultural thing, and it's also hardwired to a degree. And this is why we all focus on New Year's resolutions at this time of year, because it's almost indoctrinated into our culture in terms of how we do things. But there's no surprise. I mean, it is the most wonderful time of the year. In 2024, in touching distance, which is literally just in a couple of days' time, it's time for those to enjoy making and usually breaking New Year's resolutions, to get busy with their wish lists. Did you know that physically writing down your resolutions gives you a much better chance of sticking to them? This is quite interesting. The Harvard University did a study of their students and what happened to them later on, and in their opinion, how successful they became in their field later on. So they did a huge study. It was thousands of their students. So what are you doing right now? How are you approaching it? What are you wanting to achieve? And then they went back to them in about 15 or 20 years later and said, and measured exactly where they were. And what happened and what transpired out of that was they noticed a group of people was, some were moderately successful, some were not successful at all in terms of what they wanted to achieve. And some were stratospherically successful, the Bill Gates and people like that, no surprise he was a Harvard dropout. So they went back to all these people and then they found out. And then what they did was they broke it down into all the different tasks and what they were doing. But primarily, in the most successful group of all these students in Harvard, it went on to have meteoric success. What they found was they actually were the only ones that actually wrote down their goals. They actually wrote them down, and the power it came out of that, of actually writing down their goals, actually led them to actually achieve them a lot more than anybody else that didn't write down their goals did. And they also affirmed it almost every single day. So they kept it in their mind, and they kept saying it to themselves, and they kept focusing on it. And even in times were tough, they actually believed. So it's almost, it's almost like blind faith, and to a degree, and I've heard it said before, it's almost like people become delusional that they could achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will try and steal your dream.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a good book. Don't Let Anybody Steal Your Dream, Dexter Yeager, one of the first books I ever read 35 years ago, actually. And it's true. Some people actually steal your dream. They're dream stealers. They're looking after you for the best. But what transpires is they start to say things like, you need to take it easy. You need to slow down. You need, all the things that they think it will be safe for them. And it's actually all the things that they need to keep doing in order to become successful. Because it's the people that do something fundamentally different than the crowd actually end up achieving what they want to achieve. They're a world apart from the rest of everybody else. And that's what they find. So it's no surprise when I say Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University in California, did a study on goal setting with 267 participants. And she discovered that 42% are more likely to achieve their goals by writing them down. So she affirmed that as well. 42% are more likely to achieve their goals by writing them down. So if you really want to make some positive changes in your home or in your life, for example, I don't think we're doing a lifestyle thing today, but hey, let's incorporate it. In 2024, you might or not, it's entirely up to you if you do this, consider writing down these 7 ideas that we're going to talk about your home and how to get it match fit, how to get it ready. Also, the things like, the kitchen, the hallway, the storage, the laundry, the cleaning, the post, and in general matters overall. This is what we're going to talk about. What, in your opinion, is the one thing that you should focus on the most then when we're talking about this, Andrea, and why?
I think it's the mindset about things. Yeah. I think it's all too easy to let things overwhelm you. You might not be feeling well one day and you think, right, I can't face carrying it downstairs, putting it in the washing machine. When I bend down, my head's sore, I feel sick. So you leave it and then you're still not feeling great. And nobody else does it, not in my house anyway. So you just have to keep to that mindset that you need to keep doing stuff. It's Tiny Habits. That's another book. I can't remember the author, but you'll remember who did the Tiny Habits. Takes 28 days of doing something continuously to form a habit. So people
BJ Fogg, the small changes that change everything, Tiny Habits.
So these people that start out January the 1st, they keep doing something every day continuously. By the end of January, that is then going to be a habit, and they're more likely to continue it and see it through. Like Veganuary, people are going vegan for January. I think the hope is for the vegan world, and you might agree or not agree, that by the time they get to the 28th of January, saying, hey, yeah, this is actually easy. Because they've been doing it every day and it's now become a habit, it's not a chore.
Yeah, I see. Personally for me, I would advise somebody, if you're going to go vegan, I'm a vegan myself, but if you're going to go vegan, do not do cold turkey on vegan. Excuse the pun. Do not do cold turkey on vegan. Genuinely, veganuary, yeah, it's a great aspiration, but I think just every other day, or even once a week, go meat free, or
Mhm.
for a day. Don't try and do everything all at once, because I personally, I never did it like that, and I don't think it's achievable, and I think it's a huge shift in your body in order to do that. And if you want to do that and you want to try and discipline yourself to do that, then fill your boots, and congratulations if you actually make it to the end. But you're absolutely right. But when it comes to things like veganuary, it took me 7 years to become vegan from being a vegetarian. Straight,
Mhm.
so it's 4 years at vegetarian, and then 3 years transitioning into a vegan. And it's predominantly just cutting out certain things over a period of time. So I've never ever noticed them. This is the key as well. You never ever notice them. It's interesting that you said it. Just when you're tired and you're no motivated. And yes, if you've got a goal, you're more likely to push yourself towards it. There is some occasion. Dr. Tim Cantifor actually talks about in Depression, Curse of the Strong. The people that say yes tend to have the depression, because they can't say no, and it's a big challenge for them, and it becomes difficult, and that's why they end up becoming depressed. Some go on to become chronic depression. Chronic depression is just like, oh, a couple of weeks and I'm feeling better. Chronic is like it's
Mhm.
embedded. This is like you need to go and see the doctor. You need to get sorted out, and everything that revolves around that. And the advice he actually gives in his book, and he talks about it. He says, if you're halfway through the hoovering and you think and you're in chronic depression, if you're halfway through the hoovering, and you don't feel like you need to do it, or you don't feel like you can do it, just stop and leave the hoover in the middle of the room. It's okay. Get it tomorrow. You're fine. You're okay. It'll not. It'll not. I mean, it'll not. It'll not. The world will not collapse. But when you're in that mode and you're in that mindset, you feel a failure because you don't complete the task. So the key is, don't worry. You don't need to complete the task. Just do it the next day and complete it. Just write it on your list. Tick it off as you go.
Yeah.
If it takes you 2 or 3 days to sort it out, then fill your boots. That's all you need to do. So my advice as well, there's 2 or 3 trains of cramp here, and you're absolutely right. I'll come back to saying, if you want to form a habit, you need to do that habit for 28 days, continuously, religiously. You can't stop doing it. Or if you stop doing it, if you stop on the 21st day, you have to start 28 days again, continuous every single
Yeah.
day, to form that habit. Now, what does that do when you actually form the habit? We're getting into psychology. What it does is there are neural pathways in your brain. So neural pathways are what actually create the habit in the first place, and they're chemically made. So they build up over a time when you actually start to create a habit and start to form a habit. A classic example is drinking. If you start drinking every single day, you're more likely to continue to drink if you're doing it for 28 days. It's not going to be healthy for you. But that's the sort of, if you start smoking, for example, you're more likely to keep on smoking. If you want to stop smoking, you're going to have to stop smoking for 28 days. Once you get past 28 days, everything else is easy. But writing down your goals is probably the most important thing. You need to write down your goals. And if you're wanting to stop smoking, sometimes everybody goes for patches and stuff like that. But I went cold turkey. But I built up to it in my teenage years. I just thought to myself, the way I stopped smoking, for example, this is actually quite good, because we are talking about New Year's resolutions, aren't we?
Mhm.
The way I stopped smoking was, I associated smoking with habits around you. So, for example, when you had a pint, a lager or something like that, you immediately had a cigarette because it was associated with having a pint of lager. If you had had your dinner, or if you had your breakfast or your lunch, or your, whatever you call that, you've got a habit of probably smoking after you've had it, after you've eaten. So then you need to break that cycle. If you go day in, day out and go to work and you have a routine, you have your cup of coffee, you have your cigarette when you get up in the morning, then you need to break that habit. So how are you going to break that habit? You need to change your lifestyle. So I actually worked towards stopping smoking for the day that I finished college, because the day I finished college was the day I knew all my habits would change. because I wasn't going to college anymore. I wasn't breaking off for a lunch at a certain time of day. I didn't have the 10 o'clock and the 3 o'clock, sabbaticals or whatever they call them, just the small breaks that people would go out for a cigarette. I didn't have all that anymore. So I wasn't, all these habits had disappeared around me, all the things that I did in order to reinforce that habit of smoking. So when I left college, I stopped the very next day. I tell you what, I almost smoked myself to death the night before. Because I knew I was going to stop. I thought, and it sounds daft, and it sounds, well, wait a minute, I thought you were slowing down. No, I knew the next day that was it, done forever. And yeah, it was done forever. Done forever, because I'd worked towards it. I'd programmed my mind. I'd actually thought about all the good things. I'd written them all down, all the good things. See, writing down again, I'd written down all the good things that were right for me in order to, and make me more healthier and live longer, and all the reasons why I wanted to stop smoking. And it's the same for stopping drinking. It's the same for stopping gambling. Another one was, gambling's another one. Another big addiction. I'm a bit of an addictive personality. No surprise. So there's another one there as well. So again, the same sort of process. You have to change all your habits. So if you're going on holiday, for example, so if you're breaking off for a holiday, maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, even if you're going in springtime, summertime, or whatever, and you want to stop a habit, then stop it when you go on holiday. Now, unfortunately, sometimes drinking is the reason people do go on holiday, because it's all inclusive. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm going to get my money's worth. That's maybe not the right time. Or that's maybe not the right package you should be buying. We didn't, that's... Yeah, that's the sort of thing. You get all these different things. So you've got to find a point in your life where you're actually going to change all your routines. There you go. You're going to be changing all your routines, and as a result of your routines, therefore, the habit of smoking, drinking, or whatever it is that habit is at the end of that routine is not anchored against that routine, because you're not doing that routine anymore. So that's how to break a habit overall, when you come down to the psychology aspect about it. So as you build this neural pathway with a habit, because that's what it is, chemical neural pathway in your brain, when you're doing that habit for 28 days religiously every single day, the old habit starts to break down chemically in your mind as well, in your brain. So this is how habits are all formed. It's all just chemical pathways, neural pathways in your brain, which actually forms a habit overall. So it's no surprise, again, Gail Matthews as well as the Harvard University identified it's the people that write down their goals are mainly able to achieve them. This brings us, let's come back to the house, right? Mm-hmm. For the New Year's resolutions for your house. Oh, kitchen. Where do you start with the kitchen? Because I don't know about you, but last night, after all I've bought, my fridge freezer is stacked to the gunnels. And it's going to take a long time to get through all that stuff. So, what do we do about the kitchen? What would you do about the kitchen?
Well, what I did with my kitchen when I had a period where I wasn't working, I thought, right, every drawer and every cupboard is getting emptied out, and only what we really need in them is going back in. And now, nearly 2 years later, it's as bad as it ever was. So...
How did you determine?
Do as I say, don't do as I do.
Yeah. How did you determine what was staying and what was going out of your kitchen cupboards? Did you just use by dates?
Yes, I'm a great one for throwing things out that are past their use by date. So even if it's like dried pulses and things like that, other people in the house say, "Oh, no, that's fine. You can still use it. Nobody will notice."
That's me.
No, so I clear them out. Things like flour that's been opened for that baking project that never quite turned out right and never did again. So, and you open it and you maybe think you see little things crawling about in it, so it goes out.
You do? Yep. You get wee flour mites and stuff
weevils.
Like that? Yeah. It's a strange one. Where did that come from? Because you don't actually see them on the surface of anything. So they must just appear in the flour. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. I mean, we don't so much collect loads and loads of food and things now because I've kind of got a firmer rein on it. But what we do seem to collect are plastic containers that might be useful for something someday.
Oh, tell me about it.
We've got about 100 plastic containers where the dog's food had come in. But they're great. They are really good. If you just need a little bit of paint mixed for something, they're great. And then you can just throw it out.
We've got
But
all the plastic containers from the Chinese takeaways we've had all the
yeah,
years. Now, I'm gonna drop a truth bomb here. That's what you call them, truth bomb. Your plastic containers after 3 uses can become toxic.
hmm
And
same
yet,
with water bottles.
and I don't know if that's applicable to everything, but that's what the rule of thumb was. Constantly reheating it up, and it reheats the plastic container up in the microwave when you're heating all food up and you're keeping food, can actually lead to toxicity. And so you want to watch for that. So you don't need. I'm the world's worst for it. I've got about 100 of them. I've almost got a cupboard dedicated to the Chinese takeaway trays that we've kept, and I just look at them every single time and think, we'll only use about 3 or 4 of them at any one point in time. Why have we got about 100 of them in the cupboard?
Well, I actually went out to a well-known supermarket and bought some of these little things with lids, because when I sorted out my sewing and craft room and bits and pieces for the garage, we actually separated them into these little trays. So all the nuts and bolts are in one, and all my needles are in one, all my bins are in another one. They can be very, very handy. And if you've got a little label maker, you can put labels on them. And I still can't find anything when I'm actually looking for it, because it takes about an hour to look through about 200 takeaway containers with lids to find what it is I'm looking for. But
Scott does sound and light in the theatre at the Buyer, and it's like, I've got a fitness room, and I walked into my fitness room the other day, and everything was packed up with all Scott stuff. All the stuff that he must be reveling in this, because he just goes on Amazon and he buys everything to do with lights and LEDs and all the rest of it, and screwdrivers and every single thing you could think of. It's adaptable to the theatre and what you're doing. It's like all his dreams have come true at once, because he's got a job that he can buy things.
Yeah. I must admit, I mean, most women are for handbags and shoes and things like that, but for me, it's power tools.
Power tools.
I do have a thing for power tools.
Every single time. It's like, that's what I loved about being a landlord, is the fact that I got to buy loads of power tools, and it was all tax deductible. That's what I loved about it. I'm an accountant by trade, so it's obviously that's what floats my boat. But I got to buy loads of power tools because of being a full-time landlord at that time. And actually, I just drove about with it in my boot all the time. So if everything needed fixed when I was round one of the houses, it's like, no bother. I've got the tool for that. Let's get it sorted. Or I'd just nip down to B&Q, or I'd nip down to Focus. That's a long time ago.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yep. Home base or somebody. Oh God, I remember one. For us personally, we had to drive all the way to Glenrothes to home base, because there was no DIY really. It would have what we'd need, and there was no Amazon at that time either. Amazon never existed. You weren't able to get something just delivered to your door. So
those were the old days, Jim.
I know, but then it's quite frightening, because the old days was literally only about 20 years ago. The old days 25 years ago, something like that. That's how the meteoric rise of these companies and how we change things, and how our habits have changed over a period of time as well.
Yeah.
And that then is something beneficial to what we do. So yeah, absolutely. Come back to the kitchen.
One thing I thought about these kitchens, and you see them in all the glossy magazines and that now, a lot of them are going for the more open plan cupboard look and floating shelves for storage. I think it makes kitchens look a bit more cluttered, but you would have to be really spot on with your storage and how tidy you were if you were going to have that sort of kitchen. And I don't know whether it would put people off buying a kitchen if everything was open. It would for me.
It would certainly make that room look pretty cluttered if you see everything stacked up. Because I don't know about you, but when I open my cupboard, it's like every single food jar is going to fall on top of me.
Yeah,
it's literally like that. Everything's and we're almost like I got to the point last night where I pushed some of the stuff in from the shop, and I actually just pushed it in so it would fit in a space. And literally everything's standing at the front like this. They're all everything's standing at the front, all right next to each other. It's like, oh, I'm gonna fall. That sort of thing. So kitchens and cupboards and that, clean it out. Go by sell by dates. I'm no big fan of sell by dates because as you said, pulses and stuff like that. I'm like, they don't go off, or I don't think they go off. So I kind of tend to keep them. I've got pasta in my place in Spain. It's like about 3 years old, and I used it. Still use
it pasta at its best?
So definitely kitchens. Flooring. Maybe some people actually think it's now time to buy a new kitchen. Maybe not the best time of year to do it though.
No. And sometimes you don't really need a whole new kitchen. There's a lot of companies now beginning to do wrapping of kitchen doors. Yeah, or going in and taking all the doors off, taping everything up, spraying the carcasses, and either spray painting the doors or wrapping them. And kitchens look fantastic. New worktop on it is all you need sometimes in a new kitchen.
Yeah, definitely. What about things like hallways, front doors as you come in? I don't know about you, but I've got and I think Perry had picked up on it the other day when she says, she mentioned about my shoe rack. It's like we've got, and to be honest, I've got shoes on there that I've probably never put on for the last year, and I'm thinking, why are they sitting there just in case? Or it's like, or they're a good pair of shoes, I might need them. It's like, do they really need to sit at the front door though? These sort of things, the clutter.
Unless it's your Louis Vuitton shoes that are just on a shoe rack at the front door to show off.
I looked out for a scarf the other day and Elaine says, I've got a bag of your scarves. Sorry? You've got a bag of my scarves? I have never bought a scarf in my life, but I must have been given scarves over the years as gifts. I have literally got more than 10 scarves in a bag in my wardrobe. I had no idea that I had a scarf. And I put on one of the scarves, and I don't know about you, but I've got itchy skin. So it started rubbing against my face and catching in the stray hair in my beard when you get 5 o'clock shadow, and it was like, oh, nut. It's like, I can't stand that feeling. There's a song there somewhere. I'm not singing it, by the way.
When you wear a scarf and you go out in the cold and you've got your face wrapped up with it, your breath actually condensates in the inside of the scarf and it ends up all wet. It's horrible.
Druggy.
Yeah.
So I actually, and to be honest, I go for a buff, the Fife Properties buffs that we have, because they're perfect to go right around your neck, and the buffs that we were using were ideal, and that was driven out of the fact that when I was climbing mountains, they were fantastic. But I tell you what, yesterday I was walking down the High Street, Princess Street in Edinburgh, and the chill was that bad that I thought, oh my God, this is more of a chill than actually being on Everest or Kilimanjaro. It's like it actually felt more, and it must be the chill factor and the wind factor out there. Yeah. It's completely different, and it must be because it's moisture rather than actually when you go up these mountains, it's dry. So it's dry, so you don't get that chill. You don't get that sort of wet chill, if that makes sense. But definitely. So organised coats and shoes. Probably invest in a rack, maybe a bit more hangers, or just declutter the front door.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really good, and I've seen in quite a few houses, the staircase, if somebody hasn't adapted it to be a downstairs toilet underneath, is actually to put in fitted cupboards and drawers, and they just touch
right along, push, right down as it goes
and
down.
You just push it, and they slide out, and you've got all that storage there that keeps everything nicely hidden away. You can maybe have a little coat rack just more or less as a decor feature, but sometimes these things can get over full and then start looking a mess.
But then that comes back to then the third one we're going to talk about, which is storage, maximising your storage and having a little stock check and only having one of each clean item. It's true though, isn't it? Because if you go to my wardrobe, it's overflowing with stuff I've never worn and I'll probably never wear again. And it's probably stuff I'm delusional about the fact that, I'm going to fit into these trousers one day again.
We've all got items in our wardrobes like that.
I still wonder what happened to my green fleck suit from my 80s days, though. It's like, what happened? My mum must have thrown that out. It's like, it was a good suit too. I would never have fitted into that now. I think I was probably a 28 waist at that time. It's like, there's no chance I'm getting back to that. Although I was at one point, but it was like, whoa, I can't be that weight. That was like 10 stone, 9.5 stone, 10 stone criteria at that time when I managed to get back to that, and it didn't look great.
Yeah.
So
I think
storage,
we're too encouraged to bulk buy things when they're on special offer, especially
yeah.
these days when, money is tight for some people. If they see a bargain, then they'll buy, like 100 toilet rolls. I mean, where do you keep 100 toilet rolls?
I mean, how long is it going to take you to use 100 toilet rolls? Jeez.
Until they
you're
come
right.
back on offer again.
Oh, aye, bulk buy, but it's like, you've got them for the whole year and then you've got to store them somewhere, and then, they're inconvenient because they're taking up space somewhere else. And then the fact is you've tied all your money up in the first place against 100 toilet rolls that you've got. So was it really was it saving you any money in the first place?
Yeah.
Because it certainly didn't save you any storage space, and it didn't save you any, it saved you a wee bit of time, but then all the money you got tied up in there, you might have needed it for something else, especially if you're tight for money.
Yeah. I would say just buy what you need and only buy what you've got the space to store.
Yeah. This is where it comes back to convenience stores when you start to say that. And convenience stores are attractively priced at a higher margin, aren't they? And that's because they're convenient and they're right on the corner, and it's just around the corner from your house, and it's easy to do that. So this is where sometimes it's more beneficial to actually just take a wee trip to the local supermarket.
Yeah.
Most places have really good stores though now. I mean, most villages or towns, I would say towns, more towns are actually getting Aldi's or Lidl's. I mean, there's other shops, but I kind of, your fresh produce that you get from Aldi's and Lidl's are really an attractive price point.
Yeah.
And often doing everything from scratch is more cost effective, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think they need to bring back cooking lessons to school for everybody, because there's so many children out there do not know how to cook because their parents have never done it. Their parents come from a fast food generation, and that's just what they do. Yep.
TV dinners, Iceland,
Put it in the microwave.
Like that. Yep, stick it in the microwave, stick it in the oven, out of pocket, and put it right in. Yeah, I get that completely. But then that's a habit and it's a cultural shift, isn't it? In that person, and that's a thing up here. That's a breaking down neural pathways, because it's so convenient for you to think about the same thing, because you tend to find we all live busy lives. In terms of how we, that's another story, whether it is a busy life or productive at all in terms of what we're doing. But we all use up all our time, and we all think that we don't have enough time to do all these things, and having to relearn something is quite difficult. That's why some people go, oh my God, it's like I've got to do all this, and they hold their head, because it's like, oh, it's just like the headache can get the stress about thinking about this. And, that's generally why they'll do it. That's why you end up going to, you go, oh my God, I just didn't think I can cope with this. And all this, wait a minute, you're only going to make something for the first time, or boil an egg, or whatever it is. I remember when the first time when I actually boiled an egg. For the first time, I had to ask a lot of questions. I think it was my mum. I had to ask her a lot of questions. How long should you keep it on for? And should that be from the boil? I had to get every single answer before I started.
And does adding salt to the water stop the shell from cracking?
Aye, that's a thing, yeah. And then obviously, when you poach an egg as well, when you put vinegar in the water as well, vinegar in the water actually stops it from spreading. It congeals it, so it keeps it all in one place, so it doesn't liquefy everywhere and go all over the place as a poached egg. So
I've got a poaching pan. Yeah, I use a poaching pan.
Yeah. Okay. So storage, front door. Stock check. Have only one item of anything that you really just keep stuff that you really need. This is as well. These are all great top tips if you're looking to sell your house in the new year as well. No surprise, or any time of the year, to be honest. But great top tips, because when you're walking in the door for the first time and you've got everything lying there, sometimes you've got your smelly trainers and stuff like that. No one wants to smell that. You don't get it because you're nose blind. You need to get rid of them, because it does cause a problem. It will give the wrong impression if somebody comes in the door. But another top tip I would say to a lot of people on the back of that is make sure you get diffusers and floral sort of air fresheners. And the cheapest ones are Home Bargains or something like that, and it's the gel packs. You get the pack of 5 or the pack of 3.
Mhm.
You just pull the backs off them, put them in the corner. Just stick them behind a curtain, put them behind the door so nobody sees them. At the bottom of a radiator where the pipe is, just put them behind the pipe itself, because it just looks out of place. It doesn't look at, because nobody looks down at that bit. I mean, when was the last time you looked at a radiator pipe? Purposely in a room. You walk into a room, you look straight down it. You don't, do you? You don't look at these things because you don't expect to see anything there. So it's an easy way to hide something. On windowsills as well. Just in the corner of the windowsills, nobody notices them. So there's a number of ways you can do all that. And because if somebody walks in and they get that burst of freshness, or what they think freshness is, you could see it right now. I don't know about you and what you see on the television right now in terms of the adverts, but there's a huge campaign from Lenore just now. I see that, and it's like they're beating the drum about their new pellets or crystals or whatever it was. But this goes on the back of people associate that with freshness because they've got 2 beds. They've got one without Lenore or Comfort on it. They've got one with it, and then everybody's jumping in the bed and going, "Oh, I just want to stay here because it smells so fresh." There you go, embedded in your mind, Lenore fresh. So these are the sort of smells that you want to then get air fresheners for, because everybody is conditioned to think that smells fresh. Or, if you don't think that doesn't work, then why are you brushing your teeth with mint toothpaste? Why not chocolate? Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same ingredients. It's just got a chocolate flavour. It'll still be your teeth, but nobody would ever dream of brushing their teeth with chocolate toothpaste, would they? No. Well, maybe my son Scott would. But it's true. So mint is associated with freshness as well. So that's another thing you've got to think about. So you can easily get over all these smells within your house. If you've got pets, if you've got cats, if you've got dogs, what would you recommend in pets and cats and dogs? In terms of freshness.
Just
clean the beds.
Yeah, give their beds a wash once a week. Not with the rest of your washing, unless you want it covered in hair. Although you do get stuff that you can put into a wash in your washing machine that dissolves hair. I did buy a packet of it. I've never used it yet because it's got to be a really hot wash, and I thought that might not work. So
that sounds like when that goes down the plug hole and goes into the water system, it'll dissolve people.
No,
must not highly concentrated in the water system.
Just don't mix it up with your shampoo.
We're going to, I mean, that's point 5, and let's jump to point 5 then. We'll come back to point 4 about laundry. So point 5 is making cleaning chores easily and simple: cleaning kits, cloths, polishes, and in part of the home, especially bathrooms, toilets, and kitchens. So one of the recommendations for pets is we have blankets that we put over everything. So we have easy, just throws we put over everything, just like a normal towel, but it's a wee blanket. It's for your pet. We put them on the cushions, we put them on the seats, we put them on, in the corners of the rooms where they like their favourite place. And they lie on the blankets because the blankets are really easy to clean then. So you're not building up any residue anywhere. So you don't need to get the carpet cleaner every 3rd week or whatever it was, because your pet lies in that certain bit of the corner, corner on the carpet all the time. So you get something that you can easily clean that they will lie on. That's what I would say for cleaning chores. The things that make it easier for simple cleaning kits, polishing kits, stuff like that, homes, especially bathrooms. Bathrooms is a big thing for me for cleaning. Because you don't want, I mean, when you think about the logic of this, when someone views a house and they walk into your bathroom, what is the bathroom there for? Ideally, it's there for you to clean yourself. So what impression does that give when your grout and your grouting is all dirty, and your seal around your bath or your shower is dirty as well, and the glass on the front of the the splashback on the either the shower and on the over the bath with the shower and the glass frontage, if that's all lime scale and everything, doesn't give a great impression, does it? Yeah,
Scummy.
it doesn't give the right impression, does it?
No, and a tide mark around the bath.
Yeah.
I mean, that shouldn't happen if something is being cleaned properly, regularly.
So again, all busy lives. Top tips in order how to clean that quickly. Ideally, I think just a quick spray with Flash. Flash it's a degreaser, so it just gets all the grease off. Quick wash around the bowl. The chrome, all the chrome, quick spray with Flash or something like that, and then wash it down. It's easy to do. Same with the bath as well. And over a period of time, it does look sparkling. But if you want, again, a top tip about quick turnaround and how to give anybody that impression, just spray the Flash down the plug hole before somebody comes in to view your bathroom, because again, it's the smell. People smell the pine, or they smell the lavender or whatever it is you've got, and immediately they think it's fresh. Even though your bath, your shower room, or your bath, it's maybe antiquated, it doesn't look like it, but it gives them that impression when you walk in. It's like, yeah, I could put up with that. I could put up with that, and I could change it as I go.
Yeah, there are some people may want to use an alternative to chemicals for the cleaning of their properties, and they can use a mixture of bicarbonate of soda, lemon juice, and vinegar, and it works just as well for your regular cleaning, and you get
Probably
the
the same
smell of
stuff.
the lemon. Yeah.
It's probably the same stuff, because if you look in the back of the bottle, sometimes you actually see the same ingredients, don't you? So bathrooms, toilets, kitchens, get toilets. Bugbear for mine. Get rid of the wee rug that sits around your toilet. It's just a harbour for germs and dirt and smells and horrible. If you've got a bath mat, maybe wash it. And if it's going to disintegrate when you wash it, just chuck it in the bin. It's like it just, these are all things that just put people off when they come to view. And the same comes down to kitchens as well. Make sure everything's sparkling. Top tip for stainless steel: baby oil. Baby oil, stainless steel. If you've got your stainless steel doesn't look as good as it should, just put a tiny bit of baby oil onto a bit of kitchen roll paper, and just rub it around the stainless steel, and it brings it up so fresh. And again, you get that smell that's associated with babies, which is freshness. That sort of, I hate to say it, Johnson and Johnson smell, the baby oil stuff that you get. But again, that's a trigger and an anchor in people. When they smell that, it brings them back to a place of comfort and solitude in their mind.
And
so
safety.
No matter what and safety, no matter what they're looking at, they feel good. So again, it's another way to influence people. There's no surprise when you talk about influence. There's no surprise. I would tell you this, and the fact that when you go to a bakery, they deliberately put the rolls on to bake when they want people to buy produce. They don't do it. Sometimes they'll just put them on just to bake, just to get you to buy, because to get you to stop. Because when you smell that and smell the rolls getting baked for the first time, it's just, again, it evokes all these different good emotions, and it encourages you to buy as a natural result. So some people actually bake, don't they? When people come to view.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you do get people that would. I think the people that are bakers at home bakers, will possibly do something like that if they've got viewings going to be happening in their house, that they will have that nice aroma there. I think the people that don't do it, it's probably not a good idea. You can buy scented things that give you the same impression, and you don't have to go and spend lots of money on buying stuff. Yeah.
The trick, they used to have these wee diffusers at the door, at their front door. It actually spewed out that smell. So people would actually, spew that smell is not exactly the right combination of words. Pushed out that smell, I would say, and encourage people just to come in just because of the natural smell that would happen as a result. So it's another one people do from tricks of the trade. So if you can see a supermarket's doing it, there's something behind it, and it must work if that's the case. So again, it's another top tip to use for yourself. Avoid fish dishes if you've got somebody viewing. Avoid. I know I love Indian food. I love making tarka dal, and all that, and I love madras and everything. But it's not the smell you want to have associated when somebody's coming to view. Even the night before for the next day, it often lingers. So try to avoid it if you've got somebody set up for viewing the next day. I would say that's probably the top tip for in terms of cleaning. And just make sure the place is all dust free. Give it a once over. Give it a run around. At the last resort, here's a top tip I used to do when I was doing viewings for everybody. I would know where their air freshener is in the kitchen, or it was in the bathroom. I'd just run about the house and just give a quick spray in each room. That's it. Not overpowering. I wouldn't go. So when somebody comes in, they start choking. It's like no, just a quick spray into corners, not up but down, so people can smell it, but it's not coming down, and they're not inhaling it then. So into the corners, just spray, air freshener into the corners. So when they come into the room, just when because they're just about to come into view. So you're only talking about do this 5 minutes before they're about to arrive. Just do that. Spray it into the corners down the way. When they walk into the rooms, again, it's just quite emotive. They smell that nice fresh smell, associates with the house, and you could probably have one of the worst houses ever because you've not done anything to it and you're not prepared to do anything to it, but it still gives it a wee lift.
Good idea.
Yeah, definitely. What about? Let's come back to the fourth point, laundry. What's your thoughts on that? What could we do to combat? Because some people you walk in. I've had viewings where I've turned up and it's like, oh my God, they've got their pants on the floor and stuff like that. It's like,
I've had someone still in the bed.
It's few and far between. It's few and far between. But what do you do about that? Just like kick it under the bed so it's out the way.
I know that is a difficult one because if you live alone, there's no reason to have a laundry basket. You can just carry your washing and put it in the machine every day, and then when it's full, you just put it on. When it's a bigger family, we had laundry baskets in each of the 4 children's bedrooms, plus our own. And then there was a designated day for each one that went into. We had 2 washing machines going practically all the time.
Wow.
So it's difficult to avoid when it's a bigger family, I think. But it doesn't mean to say that they have to be full and over brimming and on show.
Yeah.
So they could be discreetly, say, use a laundry bag rather than a floor standing basket. And put a hook on the back of the door or on the doorpost. Hang it behind the door, so when the door gets opened, it's not the first thing that you're seeing. Obviously, some doors open onto walls, and it might not be quite so convenient. Or you could put a hook somewhere on a wall. If you've finished in the shower, just put the bag in the shower.
Yeah, avoid. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Try and utilise the space that you have to create more space.
I think avoiding, talking about the shower and that as well. There's a lot of people actually, and including myself. There's a big tendency to put everything on the back of the door, but you're absolutely right. You overwhelm it so much that you can't even open the door, and you can't get in sometimes. And it's stuff that you'll probably never ever wear. Maybe you've got 2 robes, one in case we need the other one. But well, do you really need 2? Just wash the other one when you need it and just turn it around, or put the other one in your wardrobe so it's out the way. If you've seen my wardrobe, it's like, geez, I've got to do a declutter again. It's like, I don't go out and buy anything. I'm just like, I can't be bothered. It's like I'll wear a shirt till it drops off my back. Effectively, it's like I've got no airs and graces about buying loads and loads of clothes. But I obviously get it bought all the time. Elaine likes buying clothes for me. It's like, and then it's like, oh my God, I've got to then find a space and move my wardrobe apart, find a space to get that in, and then put it in. And it's like, then I look at it and I think, I've got about 20 shirts here. Am I really going to wear all these shirts now? So that's when you've got to really think about decluttering. and actually getting rid of all the previous stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that somebody else could still use and repurpose it. So there's a lot of clothes banks of the. I think there's a lot of clothes banks out there that you can just put them in, or you can just hand them into shops if they're perfectly usable, and you've washed them and ironed them or whatever, and then just hand them into them, and they could recycle them and repurpose them for someone else.
Yeah, there's cash for clothes as well, which is quite good. As long as the stuff's still wearable and not damaged with paint or anything on them. So it does a lot of mine out.
This is quite an interesting one, because I once heard somebody saying this to me. They did the cash for clothes, and they took down about 5 or 6 bags of clothes. Now they were getting rid of them. Okay, so they took down 5 or 6 bags, and the boy went, "Well, I'll only give you a couple of quid for them." He went, "A couple of quid? I'm not giving them for that." And it's like, but you're chucking them out. What difference does it make? But all the, it's like you were going to be chucking them out, and you were getting a couple of quid for them. So what were you bothered about? You've got them off your plate now. But it's just the fact that the person was only offering them a couple of quid for it. He actually didn't do it. So don't fall foul of that. It's like you're getting rid of this stuff. Just get on with it and get rid of it. Because you weren't going to accept something for it in the first place. And just because somebody is offering you money for it now, the cash for clothes, and it's lower than what you would think, then you were going to get rid of them anyway. So just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Don't bring them back home, for goodness sake, because this is about decluttering your house.
Yeah, and then you'll always get people leaving charity bags through your letterbox, and they'll say, right, this will be picked up. But then that means you've got to store the stuff that you're going to be getting rid of until a charity bag falls through your door. So you're going to still have it hanging about, and sometimes it's easier just to put it in a bag, get rid of it right away, to either take it to the charity shop or down to the cash for clothes places.
Yeah, but if you start now, then at least you can work towards that, rather than actually. Again, I come back to saying it's about the overwhelming of having to do it all at the same time, and a lot of people do that to themselves. That ends up putting them off in the first place, so they then don't do it at all. So just do it bits at a time when you can do it, and just work towards that. And overall, over a period of time, it will work for you. The tiny steps approach.
Yeah, a lot of people, of course, will only think about doing this major declutter when they find out we've got to move. We're going to have to sell this house, and then it's a huge chore for them to take on. So get started now.
Do you know the
you never know when you're going to sell.
The tongue-in-cheek thing I often say to people, it's once you've finished doing everything to your house, it's time to sell.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you finally finish what you're doing. I sat with my garage doors, and there was no way I was going to replace my garage doors. One of them didn't open at all, and one of them was about hanging off, and a couple of times it fell off, and I actually sorted it back up. And then I was thinking to myself, I'll get that sorted if I'm probably going to finally sell the house. And it's like, wait a minute, Jim, are you telling me you're going to fix this for everybody else, and you're going to suffer for the next 20 years having to get over this? Why do you not just get the damn thing now? This goes back to my old training from my father about let's keep the plastic on the sofa and protect it. I don't know if anybody remembers that. When you used to have to, even the car, when we got brand new cars, my dad went, "Oh, keep the plastic on the chairs." And this plastic was there on these chairs until the day that we sold it. And then he would take the plastic off. Somebody else would get the benefit of having no plastic and really good brand new chairs. What was the mentality in that, eh?
I know. Oh dear. I think going back to selling houses, a lot of this sort of decluttering and things, when it's a deceased estate, one of the things that we've got down to the general bit, we've got a lot of stuff, but when it's, I think you have to tread carefully when you're dealing with a property where it's been a deceased estate. You're dealing with a grieving family, and you go in, and the first time you look at the house and it's full of stuff, that's that person's memories and
emotional attachment.
There is a lot of emotional attachment to stuff, and I must admit, at the moment, obviously I've now got my mother living with me, so we will have a house to empty, and it's full of stuff. and I nearly fell out with my brother because he took stuff away from the house to bin it. I said, you can't do that. I don't know what you've taken, and that
Yeah.
stuff, it's not just mum's memories, it's my memories too, from my
Yeah.
childhood from that house. So
I did have a case where I had 3 sisters. Actually, 2 of them it was 3 years. 3 years the house had sat empty because
mhm,
one of them just couldn't part with the fact that the emotional attachment and the fact that their mum's gone now.
mhm,
So it became very difficult for the other 2 sisters to deal with the one sister, which just wouldn't be reconciled. So I had to continually give them the right advice over a longer period of time to encourage their sister to actually let go, but not let go emotionally, just let go of the attachment to certain things.
mhm,
And it was like, if I sell the house, I will forget about my mother. It's like, no, you're not. That's not the case. If if anybody else sees anything, the photographs, I think
mhm,
you were involved in this, possibly. The photographs as well. It's like, so I could see some of my mum's stuff in the photographs. It's like, well, we should have
yeah,
cleared that out beforehand. It's like, but I don't want to clear it out because it's like I'm now letting my mother go. So it was that emotional attachment one of the sisters had, and the other 2 just had got over it, where the other
mhm,
one just hadn't. In 3 years, that property sat empty, and they were paying double council tax on it. They were paying utilities still on it because they still had to keep all the heating on, and it was a drain. It was a drain financially and emotionally on the other 2,
mhm,
but the other one was fine, and her lifestyle was okay, and well, so it wasn't a drain to her. So the other 2 had different circumstances. They found it
yeah,
very difficult. Plus the fact that they knew that the financial reward out of that, they could help their siblings and their, or their children, to better themselves in their future because of the financial implications about the
mhm,
reward they would get when the house is sold.
yeah,
So it was that difficult dichotomy in terms of how do we approach this. So this did take a lot longer to actually get this property on the market for them and give them the right advice to do that. But it did alleviate these circumstances, and they didn't get to the point where they all fell out. The final one for me was when they actually got to the agreeing the sale price. It was they had all agreed they would accept a certain value for the price
mhm,
for the house. And when I got that value, the one that didn't want to sell went, well, I want more. Whoa, well, what do you mean you want more? Well, I want 10,000 more. Well, okay, that's fine, but I thought we'd agreed that it's going to be 430. No, I want another 10,000. Okay, so if I get you another 10,000, then on top of this, so instead of 430, we'll get 440. If we get you the 440, will you agree to sell? Yes. Now, she didn't believe we can get that.
mhm,
So what's the financial implications of you getting in at 440 then? Well, you'll get another £3,333 and 33 pence, won't you? Because that's it's split between 3, the extra 10,000.
yeah,
Okay. So I went back to the other 2 sisters and went, okay, so she wants this amount because she says that's the amount she wants. I says, I tell you what you do. See the extra £3,333 and 33 pence? You split it between the 2 of you and tell her you'll give her £1,600 and odd pound extra each out of your own pocket. So you don't need to try and get the extra 10,000. You just give her the extra 1,600 and whatever.
mhm,
And they went, absolutely. And she came back and went, oh no, I'm no accepting that. Hold it though. But you said if we get you that figure and you got that financial deal out of it, that's you. So the first time you said if you got that figure, you would leave, you would sell. And then the next time we've got that figure for you again because we've agreed that you're getting that financial reward out of this. So you said you would sell again. So what's the true reason behind this? And then that's when it came out. It was like she didn't want to part with it because it was like parting with her mother.
yeah,
So we had to overcome that emotional hurdle first. And we gave that time and we worked through that together. See, this is what people don't realise about being an estate agent. It's not
yeah,
just about selling houses. It's about taking someone on a journey from A to B based on what they've decided and told you what they want you to achieve. That's why when I walk into everybody and I sit and say to them, what is it? Why am I here? apart from the obvious, to sell your house or value your house. But why am I here? What journey are you wanting to take now? Is it you want to downsize because the children have left the house? Is it you've lost a partner, or you've gained a partner, so you want to upsize, or you want to downsize? You can't afford it financially. You can't tackle the stairs. What is it you need me to help you with? What do you need to help you with for the next stage? And that's the thing that we have to solve. The house will sell. It will sell whatever price it sells for. We're good at negotiating, so it'll sell for a lot more than what anybody else thinks. And it always has for that reason. But the main factor here is to identify and understand somebody's needs and deliver on that need. That's why we sell houses, but we help people manage their life as it happens in the process.
Mm-hmm. So I think go back one step. Post. Mm-hmm. We all get it. We used to get a lot more. Nowadays, with a lot of things being done online, we don't have so many things gathering in piles. I have an auntie who always went through her post every week. Everything that came in, she would check it. And then at the end of the month, she would sort through what had been dealt with. Could we go, that was away. What still needed to be dealt with. And she was very rigid with it. And I always thought, oh, that's great. I wish we could do that. But all our stuff just ends up in a pile behind the clock on the mantelpiece. Yep.
I agree.
And then the filing boxes are getting higher and higher and higher. I think about 2 years worth of filing waiting to be done for things.
I've got a sideboard in my house, and literally, and it's out of sight. So it's out of sight, out of mind. Typical example. And everything to do with pensions and everything to do with mortgages goes on that pile. Mm-hmm. So, and I know straight up, God forbid Elaine doesn't tidy it up, I'll tell you. Because it's like, I know where everything is in that pile. I know it, because obviously it comes by date and it gets put on the top of the pile. So straight away, it's like, oh, you're looking for something from 1975. It's like, okay, I know that's going to be at the bottom because that's when I first started. So you know exactly where it's going to be in that pile because it's gone by date order as you've put it on. And you've never changed it. You've just put it back to where it was before. And that's kind of how, I get that completely. Piles of it needs to be filed, but you need to keep them because it's stuff in the future. Maybe a bank or a pension fund or somebody to identify, your funds, or if it is your funds, or you have to keep them, or maybe it's just an obsession that we have to keep them because nowadays everything's online. So do we really think that's all going to disappear? Probably not. So do we really need to keep all that documentation?
I mean, I closed a business down in 2014, and I still have records from that. Yeah. I'm gradually getting rid of them.
I've got the stuff. I've got the stuff from when I started being a landlord all these years ago. I've got all the tax records from the very beginning, almost 30 years ago. I could go back to all the documentation from the very beginning. I've still got all the old title deeds. I've still got all the solicitor's documents from when I bought all these properties 30 years ago, and from then on, every single time. So I know exactly where everything is. They've all got their files. And I have them in its own dedicated filing place, and an actual storage unit. I actually own.
I mean,
and you don't need to keep all that. You don't need to keep all that. It's all on record now, so you don't really need to keep it. However, when it does come to sell a property and you need to do your capital gains, I've got all the documentation at hand, so I can just calculate it like that.
Yeah. Well, my mum's 91 now, and I've just brought over her paperwork from her house so we can store it safely here, and she still has her original receipt for when she bought her brand new house in 1967. And then
how much it was?
I think it was about £5,000.
5,000 quid in 1967.
And that was for a 3-bedroom detached bungalow. And then I've got all the plans for it for when she had it extended.
That's over 50. That's. I was going to say 1967. I was thinking, I was calculating that out, and I go, wait a minute, I was born in 1966, and I'm 57. So that's 56 years ago.
Mhm.
Did you know in the last 50 years, property prices have gone up 8,003%?
Really? Well, a house identical to hers originally.
Inflation's gone up 1,400%, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
So it tells us straight away that property prices always outperform inflation as an
Yeah.
investor.
A house identical to hers original layout on the same corner plot, but further down the road, sold in this August for 300,000. It was
Wow.
on it. It had been home report valuation was 285. So yeah, they're still definitely going up. And hers is now a 4-bedroom with an additional cloakroom.
So that's a 6,000% return,
Mhm.
because that's 60 times that. So effectively that's 6,000%.
Yeah.
Wow. But then this is I'm going to digress a wee bit. This is why I say to people about being an investor and being a landlord is actually a really good return over a long period of time. Because do you think if you'd had that for 57 years and you'd been renting it all that time, you would have been getting rent out of it as well?
Mhm.
So you're getting rent out as well, whether it's a small income or a large income, depending on if you're putting the money down all or you're getting the bank to finance it as well with you, and you've got a mortgage then on it, which is deductible. And in a corporation, it's not deductible. It's only lower rate if you're a personal person. Again, I come back to saying I'm a landlord myself, so the reason I know that, and I'm an accountant by trade. So that just shows me, by what you've just said, that property is still a really good investment. And property will continue to rise over time as salaries rise as well, because it always does. That's the way it works. As people get more money, what happens is all the prices begin to move up to equate to that money again, because
Mhm.
there's only a finite amount of stuff that you can buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Christmas decorations, Jim.
Get them stored.
When it's time to come down, what do you do with
Christmas is
yours?
done. Christmas was done 3 days ago or whatever it was. It's like, it's done. Get the tree down, get the tinsel down. It's all over. Move on. Back to work. I tell you
Time to
what,
buy the Easter eggs.
honestly, I didn't knock it. I tell you what, you go to some shops and I've actually seen the Easter eggs in the shops.
Mhm.
And just just to sneak it in.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fly, aren't they? They sneak
Yeah.
it in the corner. They just have it in the corner sitting there, and it's just like subconsciously going, "You're going to be buying me soon."
And the shops will
Valentine's Day.
summer clothing.
Valentine's Day as well is coming up. Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
and I've already seen something for Valentine's Day in the shops.
As I say, the summer clothes will be coming in on the racks now in all the shops. And
Yeah.
it's coming into the coldest weather, and you will not be able to buy a warm jersey or a coat because all the summer stuff's in. You have to kind of work 6 months ahead.
Yeah, you do.
You know, the
You
people
do,
that are
don't
going
you?
away, we're having a wee quick break in the sun at the beginning of December. Can you buy a bikini? Oh, would I want to buy a bikini? No. But can you buy sometimes?
I've never had a chance to actually think about whether I should buy a bikini or not.
But no, you can't buy summer clothes in the winter, and you can't buy winter clothes in the summer.
Absolutely. So let's get back to this and finish off and wrap up. Okay, wrap up. Excuse the pun. Christmas. I'm here all week. Try the fish. So Christmas decorations labelled and stored together, group similar toys and games, and there's loads of toys your children will have from Christmas and stuff like that if you've got your young children. So you're going to have to put them out the way. You're going to have to organise them in a orderly fashion now if you're going to be doing viewings quite soon. So we're going to resolve to get teenagers to keep their rooms tidy. That's a challenge in itself. But that's perhaps an overambitious New Year change for anyone. So this is the one thing I could say to everybody right now is I'm wishing you, from all of us, happy and healthy and prosperous 2024, and all the best for the new year. Final words from you, Andrea.
Well, I can only reiterate what you've just said there, Jim. I hope everybody has a wonderful new year. Hogmanay, stay safe, and get into 2024 and enjoy it.
Yeah, watch out, Wealth Creation Show. We're actually, Richard and I are doing Wealth Creation Show on Monday, which is New Year's Day, 12:30 live, and we will be talking about the pursuit of excellence. Looking forward to that one. Anyway, until next time, guys, it's bye-bye from us. Have a fantastic 2024 when the bells come. Bye-bye for now.
Bye bye.